It's now time for our main event with your host, Chris Tetrold Blaine. Welcome to Once Upon a Turnbuckle.
So, joining me this week on Once Upon a Turnbuckle is someone very special, someone who actually competed, dare I say, in that very ring for the WWF and ECW. Someone who can boast having the most sensational of trainers. She may no longer be in the ring, but she is doing some great things with her life still these days. So, ladies and gentlemen, formerly known as Paris, please welcome to the show, Nancy Ann Jones.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing to see that. I'm so excited about this.
Thank you. No, it's been more than a few weeks delayed. It's entirely my fault. I do apologize.
What? It happens when people get sick. I'm good. Don't worry about it.
Marvelous.
Not a problem. I'm easygoing. Always have been. Always will be.
That's awesome. Well, it's great to have you here. So thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time. And I got quite a few questions lined out. Whether I'll get to them all, I don't know. But it's just great to hear anything you can share, really. Over the course of the interview.
It was an amazing way I actually got into the business. The Gentle Giant. I used to date him, and that's when they were still in Louisville, Kentucky, training.
Yep. Yeah.
So when I went with him, Jim and I were in the ring and I was warming him up, and they have cameras everywhere so they can watch the training sessions. So Pat came out and I was like, oh my God, I got you fired already. Like, I'm so sorry. So Pat Patterson came out and pulled me in the back, and we were literally watching me wrestle with him in the ring.
Wow.
And I was like, are you kidding me?
That's
like,
amazing.
I was like dumbfounded. I'm like, oh, he's not in trouble, right? I'm like, no. He's like, no, we think you have so much natural talent. Can we offer you a contract? And I'm like, huh?
Wow. So
like, I still get chills from it. So
you were just training. What had you been competing up to that point at all?
No, just dating.
There you go.
I have watched this since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, as the old people say.
Yeah. How old were you when you first discovered it? I mean, who was on the scene back then?
Well, my adopted father, I was adopted, so I was adopted at 6 weeks old. So my adopted family, my father passed away here in Ohio, so we moved back to my mom's area, which was in Pennsylvania. So I would go over, and I was about 7 then. So probably 8, 9 years old, I started watching it. And, that's when Tommy Wildfire Rich was there, and, the little girls have, oh, Jesus, your heart beat when he came out. And until years later, don't let me forget, I got a story about him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but he, I would go over there. I would stay at my uncle's because we all lived within a block of each other. Mm-hmm. So I would go over, and my pap and I'd sit between his legs, and we'd beat the living crap out of each other while we were watching it. I mean, the Four Horsemen would come out, a Rock and Roll Express. We would just beat the crap out of them. I come home with bruised shoulders. My mom would be like, what happened? I'm like, oh, me and Pep were just fighting over the wrestling. We're good. But every Saturday night, you caught me there. I missed, I don't know, half dozen dates because they wouldn't come around the block to pick me up over at my grandparents' house.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I was like, if you're that dumb, you don't need to date me. I'm out of here.
No, fair enough.
My grandparents were more important to me.
That's fair enough. So we're talking about what territories was it? Was it like NWA that you were watching, or was it more?
Yeah, that was WCW, NWA in that area. So cool. Era, I should say. Yeah. So that's when Tommy Rich was just coming through, and Rock and Roll Express, and you had the Horsemen coming in, Arn and Ole, which I have to respect them. Those two. I think Ollie didn't get he didn't get a whole lot of like Arn did. He was just like kind of pushed to the side.
Yeah.
but Arn really fought to make sure that he got his share of everything. So Arn's a very nice guy. I mean, I haven't talked to him in 20 plus years, so he probably won't even remember me, but hopefully he does.
So, you know, we're what? I don't know, only a couple of minutes in so far, and the names you've dropped so far.
Sorry, I like the name drop.
No,
what can I say?
No, I mean, this is it's one of the great things about being able to talk to you, because I grew up as a fan over in the UK. I didn't really get much closer. I only saw the WWF once when it came over when I was younger. So being able to sort of feed off of your own stories from someone who has been around these guys is amazing for me.
It is amazing. And I've always looked at it this way. I mean, I have done pretty much everything in my life that I wanted to. I drove race car, late model race car. I've been an EMT. I've literally have been the administrative assistant to CEOs and presidents of companies. So I mean, I've done it all, and I want to look at my grandkids when they get older and say, I don't care if you do anything, you try it. If you don't succeed, it doesn't matter. No. Just trying it, you've succeeded. And that's all that matters. And so that's what I want to portray to anybody that's listening today on this is, you know, do what you want. Try. Just get out there and try. It doesn't hurt. You may fail, but you know what? You're actually successful, even if you fail. That's how I feel about it.
There's way too much onus on failure. This is another rabbit hole we can probably go down and have a whole other discussion about. But there's way too much. I think social media, as good as it is, in my opinion, it breeds a lot of negativity, and particularly around.
It does.
Making people feel like they're failures. But no, that's quality advice. You know, I think that's traits that are very much rare nowadays compared to what they were. So going back to the beginning, so right at the beginning you said about, you know, Pat Patterson pretty much sort of discovered you or sort of started you off. So what happened then? How did you, what were the following months or years?
You go through the process. I mean, Vince wants to talk to you to make sure that you're ready for what's coming. And personally, it was just like such a whirlwind that you're like, okay, things are coming at you. And then I get introduced to Sensational Sherri, and was said, she's going to help train you. And I'm like, and I've always looked up to her. She had the attitude like I do. Yeah, I'm like, you know, don't get in my way. I will knock you over.
Yeah.
But that girl beat my ass the first match I ever had. I love her.
If you're going to learn, you're going to learn from the best. You know, I don't think you could have gone in much higher at that point.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was like surprised. I figured that it would be the trainers, which it was. But, you know, Sherri was there and, you know, they'd ask her if she would like look at me, watch me in the ring because of what they had seen. And I was like, you get that like jumpiness when you're around somebody that you idolized.
Yeah.
And when she walked up to me, she's like, "Hey, bitch, how you doing?" And that was our joke. Literally, that was how we talked to each other. Every time I met her, or we were at a show or we crisscrossed. "Hey, bitch, how you doing?" "Hey, bitch." That was our thing. And she actually a couple years, well, probably, oh geez, it's been a long time, probably about 18 years or so. She came into, they had a underground match out here locally, and Sherri and more Bobby and Robert were here. And I was like, I walk up and I said, "Hey, bitch." And I'm standing there because she's signing autographs and she's looking around and she's like, you know, kind of, who the hell would say that to me? And I said, "Hey, bitch, I'm over here." And she looked at me and she goes, "Holy shit, Nancy. It has been a long time." And I'm like, wow. Yes, it has. So then we all just sat there and talked.
Just didn't forget. How long was she training you for?
Oh, we trained for about a year together on and off. Okay. I mean, it was the first 2 months straight. And when she had to go out for, you know, her contracts, she would go and come back and I'd be with the normal trainers and everything. So she was like an inspiration to me. She really pushed me beyond the limits that I thought I had. And she said, "You actually do have the talent that Pat came and talked to me about. And I absolutely love you. And I think you're doing a great job so far, and you know, you're going to go far. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
You don't need any more reassurance than that, to be
Yeah.
honest. One thing I think, thinking back to that kind of era, I mean, women's wrestling, completely different now. I don't watch, I haven't really watched current wrestling for maybe nearly 20 years, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, it's just too much TNA to me.
Yes.
Honestly.
Yeah, I went through that sort of, the end of the Attitude Era and then, beyond for the next 10 years.
Well, Vince had come to the women. Now he was like, you're going to do a lesbian scene. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And I'm like, no, I got a son. I'm not doing any of that.
No.
I don't want my kid looking at that 20 years down the road and, Mom, what the hey?
What did you do?
No, not doing that.
No. And that is, so I think you got so many talented women wrestlers that really got overlooked because they either didn't look the part or they didn't act the part.
Yes,
exactly. So, the end of the 80s, it looked like it was really being taken seriously. I remember Sherri in the late 80s when she was the champion, that she really stood out because she was a fighter.
Yeah,
she
was.
She would break the rules, and you loved her for it. You loved to hate her, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she was a love to hate gal.
And then, it's sort of it. I think, from my perspective, the WWF tried to keep women's wrestling alive in the mid '90s. It didn't really. Beyond sort of late '95, '96, it just disappeared. It was almost like a sideshow.
It was. It just became a joke. And I've been listening to more podcasts and a little bit more work. People back and forth with the different wrestlers, and you can clearly see that they had no regard for us whatsoever back in the day.
No.
Like I was really, really shocked to hear a few of the big name people sitting there talking down about us. It's like, we made you look good.
Quite.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We made you look good.
Yeah.
It just annoys the crap out of me now hearing like Honky Tonk. I just listened to an interview he did the other day, and I was absolutely appalled. And I loved him. Yeah. We did a couple underground shows here together, and I was appalled at how he was talking about us. It was like, I don't know. I don't care. Who cares? I don't care.
It's a lack of respect. Really.
Very much so back in the day. Yeah. And that was the big difference. We didn't get paid the money that Trish and Chyna did, or Sherri wasn't getting paid that much at the time. But as it started growing with the women, and she pushed her way through, got some money.
I mean, what were the years that you were active with the WWF? What sort of era?
It was around 86. Well, 86, because I had my son then. So it was from there for about 13 years on and off. So because, having a child and trying to drive, fly all over the country or drive all over the country, it was a little difficult. So, and the other thing that they had a problem with me is I would go into one stadium, 80,000 people would be screaming my name.
Wow.
No kidding. Wow. The next place I went, at me as I was walking out to the ring. So they couldn't get me to an equal pattern to go through. So either one city hated me and the other city loved me, or it was back and forth. So they couldn't quite get the niche with my character.
Okay. What was your character then? Let's sort of talk about that. What did you develop? So
it was kind of ladylike, but with an attitude.
Cool.
Down and out attitude, like, don't get in my face because I will run you over.
That just kind of, that sounds like you would have fit right in, with, again, certain people back then. You had...
back in the day, it was really weird to go into, and you almost knew every time after the fact that you knew, oh, crap, what am I going to do to make these people like me here?
Yeah.
Or depending if I was playing face or heel. So it was like, if I was playing heel, it was great because these guys hated me for some reason. It was like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah,
just the character and the people writing my storylines.
Yeah.
I just don't think they knew how to put me in there. And that's the honest to God truth. I think that's the only thing I can figure that happened with me. Is that they just couldn't find that niche with the storyline.
But then you think 10, 12 years later, if you were around in, the throes of the Attitude Era and that, with that kind of, you know, tweener sort of position,
Yeah.
you would have, again, you would have soared, because
Skyrocketed.
Steve Austin really paved the way for,
Yeah,
you know, that middle of the road.
go ahead, let's have some beer in the ring and stuff, and that was fun to watch.
Yeah, it's just...
we would be all backstage, and it was it was a mess.
Was that? I was going to ask more along those lines, actually. Yeah, so that kind of era, we are looking at. You got the height of excitement with, you know, the early years of WrestleMania. Hulk Hogan was sort of, you know, cutting it, Hulkamania and all that. What was it actually like being there? Because we're made to believe it was an amazing time.
It wasn't.
Place,
it really wasn't. I mean, you had a lot of these wrestlers doing drugs, period. Yeah. Hulk was in the back shooting up, and then he'd go out and talk to the kids about taking their vitamins, and we'd be like, oh, would that be the vitamins? You just shut up in your now. So it's, to me, being a mom at that time, it was like kind of disgusting for me, because a little bit about my history with my family is I'm the only one in my family that's never been in trouble with the law.
Okay.
I've made something out of myself. My brothers all rest their souls, because I'm the last one standing out of my family now. And they were in and out of prison for selling and doing drugs. So I knew what they were doing, and I'm like, nope, don't want anything to do with that. So I knew to stay away from it. So, and it was extremely hard to sit and watch them just do whatever, you know, it really was. And then try to go out and tell the kids, you know, you need to be good, you need to go to school, you need to do your, you know, everything down the line. And it was just like a load of BS. It really was a load of BS. The boys separated themselves, or the men, I should say, separated themselves from us. They were like, the only time they really wanted to talk to us is when we were ready to walk out with them, like with the pimp and everything, because I've been out with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I actually got a picture. I was watching a video the one night, and I'm like, I had to stop it and show my husband. I'm like, look, that's me. Like, oh my God, it is.
You are talking about The Godfather, yeah? We're talking about Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it was just extremely, like, cold to us. Yeah. Like, you could tell it was, but, you know, we all just did our thing, and we went about it. We'd stay at hotels together, and you would hear about the background about Pat Patterson and doing all of that at the hotels. And it's sad, because he was such a sweet guy. Yeah. And I swear to God, he was. I just feel so horrible for what he's, you know, what I'm hearing now. Yeah. That not that we probably, back in the day, we probably didn't even know. I was probably oblivious.
Yeah.
Because I didn't care to hear the nonsense. No. I just was trying
to your own mind that.
Be positive and do the things that I needed to do to make myself better in the ring, so I had a future for my child. Because I had a boy, and he's 34 now. Okay. Yes, I'm getting old.
No.
How old I
am? I'm 2 years older than him, so we're okay. You know, I'm on the right side of it, so it's fine.
Well, I'll be 54 on March 7th, so everybody's kind of freaking out because I've gotten tattoos, I've gotten some piercings, and I got my hair colored, and I'm like, I don't want to hear it.
Why not?
I'm finally being me. Leave me alone.
There you go. I
have nobody to answer to anymore. I found my biological parents. Both of them now have passed. My mom passed last October, and 3 years ago, all three of my siblings finally passed. So that was it. I had nobody. All my grandparents are gone now, so it's just me.
So, you know, whatever stage of life you find that side of yourself.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm like, I don't care if you don't like it. You don't have to look at it. I had skin cancer on my arms. I've already had it prior to, I've had 2 other spots removed for melanoma. So it started on my arms, and I was like, last year, I was like, nope, not doing this. I don't want to see the scars. No. I'm sleeving them up. And that's exactly what I did. And I got one more session to do on the left and quite a bit on the right.
That's it. What designs have you gone for?
Well, actually, the left is, I'm not sure if you can see or not, but this is Mothra, because I'm a geek. I love Godzilla.
Awesome.
And this is Gamera.
Fantastic. Oh, wow. Yeah.
The rest of it is all for my, I rescue dogs from China at the slaughterhouses and the meat trade.
Yeah.
So I
Wow.
fly over for a group called Candy Cane. I'm actually part of the team. And, you know, we save the dogs over there. We vet them. We kennel them until they're able to fly over here. And of course, right now with the restrictions, we're trying to fly as many over cargo to
Right.
the different rescues here in the States. I mean, it's awful. I've been over there multiple, not last year, year before. I was there 3 times a month for like 5 months and brought 63 dogs back and
Wow.
saved another 7 this past December. So that's like 70 dogs now so far.
How good does that make you feel, though? You know, you kind of see take them from what they are going through to
Yeah,
what you give them.
it's amazing because the dogs know when I get them, when they're handed over to me at Beijing airport, these dogs know. They're smiling, they're laughing, you know, they're I've got some that smile, so it's really strange. But they also lick you and they tell you thank you.
Yeah.
And then but when they get done with the flights and we're over here in the States and they're getting out of their crates and they know they're not going back in those crates, they flip the switch in them that is just overjoying, and you cry because it's like, you know, you've made a difference. It may not be every dog, but it's that one dog that I've made the difference for him. And that's just how I deal with it. I love it. Sorry, I'm going to get emotional because I love doing it. I'm actually going to be going to the Middle East here pretty soon for Motor City Rescue and picking up dogs over there and bringing them back.
Wow. So what do you keep them for a time and then rehome them, or have you?
No, I do not. I just like the carrier. I transport them back and forth, and I also, you know, when they're here, they actually have foster homes. Okay. So they're already set up with a foster home, unless they've already been like, hey, this is who we're bringing, and we have people that will do an application for them, and we file, you know, we go through the application, do an interview, and do a home visit, and then they end up going from there. Wow. And then they'll go into either directly to the home, or we'll have them at a foster home, and so they can get adjusted to the United States. They do not know English, so "un" is a very good word for no. No, and they get it after a while. Cool. Because I have a China dog here. All 3 of my dogs are rescues as well. Sophia is here from the States. Sebastian is from Macau at the Canodrome track, which was the worst horrible track in the world. Right. And we got it shut down, and he was the last litter over there. And Hugo is a galgo from Spain that we rescued. So he was kind of a foster that I lost. I'm a loser. I can't. No, if I'm fostering, they're staying. Oh, bless. I can't do it.
So this is quite I mean, your life now is, I would imagine, very, very different from when you were in the ring.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't realize how how the not being there, and then you're down here, because I have actually been at like a restaurant or a business where I am, and they'll go, look at her, she's just a glorified secretary now. And it's like, real. Everybody has to work some way. This is how you get treated sometimes with certain snobby people. And it's like, no, I'm happy with my life. And yes, it's depressing because you can't do it anymore. At 34, I had a massive stroke. Wow. Which cut me out of my career. That down. I was in rehab for 6 months. The first day I walked in, a lady was like, nurse goes, here's your clothes, put them on, let me know when you're done. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I couldn't talk. My whole right side was done. It did cause brain damage, so at this point I'm no longer allowed to work. Right. I've had 7 back surgeries in the last 6 years. So I went in to get a fusion done, and they found that my L4 was broke. So my back was physically broke, and we don't know how I did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or how long it was like that.
Yeah, they don't know how long it was. I was teaching. I have a degree because, with my career, I put money back. It paid for my college degree for an education out of UNC. Go UNC.
Wow.
And I also unexpectedly in the late 90s had breast cancer. So I had to pay for all treatments cash.
Jeez, it's almost like then if life was a wrestling match,
that I have
angle, you got the booker up in the sky. He's like, what can we do with her now?
Yeah, it's like, here, let's just throw more at her and see if she likes that.
She's overcome this. Let's try this now, shall we? That's
Yeah, let's just give her some more and see if we can dump on it, and then I'm learning. It's taken a long time, but I'm learning to just take it in stride right now. Yeah, especially like with my father-in-law, he's not doing well. So he's got COVID pneumonia, and it's not looking well. So
I think this whole thing, if it's taught me anything over the last 12 months, is puts everything in perspective.
it does.
Every little thing counts, and it's cliche, but I believe that. I'm not quite the kind of year or few years that you've had, but I had a rough year last year with certain other things. It wasn't just COVID related, but things happen, and you then, I think this is kitting some people out for coping with it in a different way.
It's really difficult. According to the doctors, I had it last March.
Okay.
They're even thinking now. I was my last the end of October, beginning of November. I came back on, I think, the 3rd or 4th of November. And a couple of days or a couple of weeks later, I started getting just like run down. I'm like, okay, do I do this? What do I do? So I went in, and the doctor ran some tests, and apparently I test positive for mono. So I can see that. I'm running my butt off 3 times a month to China, and that's 33 hours one way.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay. So she grounded me until March to fly. And then, of course, COVID happened. And then now they're thinking when I got sick in March that
What was that?
it was the COVID. I had gotten COVID over there and brought with me. And I was in my bedroom for 6.5 weeks by myself. Wow. We had to separate the dogs. Dogs couldn't come near me. No. And nor could he. So I only saw them when they brought food up to me with the dogs coming up. And that's it. I was in there for 8. I was down in the house for a total of 8.5 weeks.
Wow.
That sucked.
Yeah, I can imagine, because that was at the time that we were all kind of learning. We kind of knew what it was
going on. And now they're saying that with COVID, you can get blood clots.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm like, seriously? So I'm like, great.
Every day. No, I mean, the thing I had, actually, I was last January, I was laid up, just had a bad cold, what I thought, but I was in the bed for a whole week, which is not like me, really.
Yeah.
And then I
don't see that with you. I think you're all going to go do like I am.
Yeah.
Get out of my bed.
I got 2 6-year-olds, so you haven't got time to
Nope.
slow down. So
not at all.
But no, I tested positive for the antibodies on 2 or 3 occasions last year. So kind of like, I've had my fill.
But you have.
That's why.
You haven't me for that yet. I'm surprised they haven't asked me to do the antibody test yet. So. Yeah,
I mean, mine was sort of a voluntary thing. They just sent a letter saying, "Would you like to take part?" I was like, "Well, yeah, why not?" And I wasn't expecting anything, and answered a few questions, I suppose. But then you can get it again. I've heard of someone today who's been vaccinated against it before Christmas over here, and they got it again. So
it's this new strains that are coming out now. They're finding another strain as well, so it's like it's scary. You don't want to go anywhere. You're like, stay away from me.
Yeah, just
go that way.
Got to get to a point that we can rise above it enough that it's no longer as big a threat. We can.
Yeah, I think once we get the COVID vaccines out to everyone, I think that's going to help a lot. Which I'm like, bring mine on now. Can I have it now? I want it.
Sat waiting. So, drifting back to your your wrestling days just
Yes.
briefly. So you were who can you remember some of the opponents that you sort of performed against? There's probably a lot, to
Wendy,
remember. But
Richter.
wow, okay, there you go.
I'm like dropping names. I guess I could drop hers.
Why not? Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, over the years that you were sort of in there, so
Well, Moolah and oh shoot, this is so bad because I am not wanting to disrespect her, but I can't remember her name offhand. But yeah, they would come in. I mean, I've had a couple matches with them, but they were more dark matches, so it was like before the TV, come on. So it was kind of good because those. I don't want to disrespect Moolah, but I really liked her. So I mean, it just the whole situation, and I'm sure you've seen the documentations and stuff, and so I don't know. Again, it's like for me, I like to be honest with people up front, and I don't want to like have people think bad of me, but you're going to have that. So, but she beat the crap out of me. So did Sherri. Sherri was my actual first match.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Sort of
it was good that we did because we had worked together and she was training me, and it was like she's like, we're not going to go in here and say what we're doing. We're just going to go in there and you're going to work with me. And I said, okay, don't hurt me too bad, okay, Sherri? And she's like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, oh, I know I'm in for it now. She had that little laugh that when she snickered, you were in trouble. We were in there working. It went well. We got complimented on it from everybody in the back. I mean, Vince was there. Pat, the whole list of these people I can tell you were all there, and they were like, hey, that was awesome. And Sherri's like, yeah, and she didn't even have a skit. We didn't do anything. We just went in there, worked together, and that's what I told her.
And that's
and
the difference.
Like, damn, that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up. So when I started watching wrestling, it was the early '90s. But I've come to. It's that kind of era. It's the mid '80s to mid '90s that I really do respect and remember because it was so different. I've tried to watch some of the newer stuff now, which it's very athletic. I'll give you that, but it is way over choreographed, and you can tell that they probably spent hours and hours going over that. So for you to go out there, without a plan, and still
we knew who was going to win, but I mean that's the biggest thing. It's like that outcome's done.
Yeah.
And it would be stupid for them to put me on the winning side of this, going out for my first match against Sherri.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it could have worked, but I'm glad the way it went because it just made me feel more comfortable in my own skin and that my own experience and how I was doing. So it made me feel good that everybody thought we did a really good job or I did a really good job because Sherri's always done it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And so it made me feel good that I held my own against her. And,
there's one thing
scary, but that's what you do.
It's one memory of Sherri, I suppose, when I was growing up. One thing that I was always a bit disappointed didn't happen. So around sort of '93, they were teasing Sherri against Luna.
Oh, yeah.
That never made it onto the mainstream. I didn't see the weeklies and that, so I didn't really know if it happened anywhere. But
not that I'm aware that it did, because Luna, eventually left after, and she became I think she owned or she was working for a towing company in Florida.
Oh yeah, I did hear that. Yeah.
Where she died at down there. So
yeah.
I mean, my grandmother on my biological mom's side was getting ready to pass. So that Friday, Sherri had passed away, and I heard about it. And then Sunday, I heard that Nancy, were real close, and heard all of that. And then that Tuesday, on my uncle's birthday, my grandmother passed away. So I got a hold of Rob, WCW's the Maestro. Rob and I are really good friends still to this day. And I got a hold of him and I said, how you doing? Did all that. And I said, could you do me a huge favor? And he says, absolutely, anything for you. I said, could you just talk to my uncle? It's his birthday. And die? And he's like, absolutely, just put him on the phone. So they sat on the phone for like half hour,
Wow.
and they're just gabbing back and forth. So, I mean, I love Rob to death. He's just an amazing man.
That's amazing. Yeah, there's some forgotten names, I think, from WCW. They got swallowed up in those last sort of
Oh, yeah,
couple
all
of
that
years.
crap.
Yeah. There was I had stopped. I was aware of what was going on. I had stopped watching it regularly by then. I think, to me, the darkest day of what I saw was that day when WCW was no more. There was nothing. That competition.
Yeah.
Is what drove it. For a lot of the years I was watching it, it was clear who was winning the ratings and that, but you had that few years in the middle where you just weren't too sure, and it just
it was neck and neck there for a while, especially at one point. And right before they went under, this was a funny story for you. Right before they went under, I have a bunch of friends in the industry, so I just thought somebody was making a joke with me and said, "Hey, Nancy, give me a call. Hey, Nancy, Ric Flair, need to call me back." And I'm like, no it ain't. I'm calling my friends. I'm like, who did it? And they're like, not me, that was really him. So because I had given them the number that called in, and they're like, oh no, that was him.
Wow.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like red face, calling him back. I'm so sorry, I apologize, I thought it was one of my friends. But he was doing at that point he was doing talent showing for down there. And he wanted me to come down and audition. I was like, wow. That's and cool. Then it boomed like the next under. So, like, are you, like,
so even
for me,
he didn't even know what was going on then, really.
No, well, I think he did, but I think he was still trying, doing his job. It's, if they could work it out, they could work it out, and they'd have people in there to maybe new people to come in and work.
So what could have happened there? That's probably the biggest what if.
Yeah, you think, you got to wonder, because I was like, so excited. I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't think I've ever apologized.
That's amazing.
That was bad.
That's amazing. But to be, honest enough to then ring the Nature Boy back and say, sorry, made a mistake. Hey,
sorry.
Doesn't it?
You figure you're going now.
Something tells me that he would have been totally fine with that, though.
He was laughing. I know that.
That's always a good sign.
Like on the phone going, this isn't funny, Rick. I'm really sorry. He's like, no, it really is okay. He said, I just didn't think you would not recognize me.
Hey, it's probably a reality check for him. It's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to talk to you about, because it really intrigued me when I found out that you were with ECW as well.
Yes. So, wasn't there very long, but I was there. I worked with Raven. You know who Raven is.
Absolutely.
I come out with him every so often. Balls Mahoney and I were best friends. I love that man. And I sent you a picture so you have it of him and I and Rob. And that man and I worked so well together, like so well. Yeah. I don't know how those guys in ECW lived after some of the things I saw them doing.
No, it was groundbreaking. I mean, there was some real diehard fans around there that wouldn't cast an eye over ECW, and I didn't get to see a lot of it. I was picking up tapes, reading it in magazines, and then there was a cable channel that over in the UK that actually did start showing it weekly.
Wow.
And I was in love with it. I mean, almost a little bit too late.
Yeah. I think, and Paul Heyman was not the best guy in the world. He still isn't. Okay. They've got an attitude that they think that they're much better than thou. And, I was basically loaned out to them because I think they needed to give a break with my character, trying to figure out what we needed to do to change it up. Sure. So they sent me over there for a while and, lent me out to Paul Heyman. And I've never really gotten along with him, but that's just a personal thing. It had nothing to do business-wise. Personalities, we just did not clash.
Did you have a lot to do with him when you were over there? Did you have to deal with him?
Well, he ran the place. I mean, had to talk to him pretty much every day when you were there to see what, his thoughts on everything and what he wanted you to do. And I was like, I don't know. I just never really liked the guy. I've always had that gut feeling. And when I have a gut feeling like that, I go with it. So I just kind of tried to, okay, I'm done.
How
Tell
different
me
was
what
it?
you need me to do, and I'm out.
How different was it compared to the WWF? I mean, already you said that you dealt directly with Paul Heyman. Did you have many conversations with Vince when you were at WWF, or was it really dealt with by sort of other departments?
Most of mine were with different departments, but I've had a couple run-ins with Vince, and it just.
I like the term "run-in." That suggests there's more to it.
I try not to be mean and nasty and bring up all the damn
no.
ugly stuff, but I did not like Vince at all. No, he was a very cocky man that thought he could do whatever he wanted, and then he brought Trump into the picture. And three of us, my girlfriends Denise and Tammy and I, were assaulted by Trump in one of our locker rooms. This was the second time. So, and Vince stood in front of us, me and Denise, while he did some other stuff to Tammy. So this is the first time I'm bringing this out in public.
Oh my God.
You got to know that you're getting an exclusive at the moment, because I've kept my mouth shut for a really long time, until this past year when I read documentation that he had raped that 13-year-old girl. So I was done keeping my mouth shut.
Fair enough.
So I met up with one of my girlfriends, and actually two of my girlfriends over in November down in Columbus area. And we spent the weekend together and reminisced about everything. And, so we were trying to heal a little bit more. So it is what it is. And, I just make sure that I speak my truth now. And then these little Trumpers don't believe me. I don't really care.
Fair enough.
Don't really care. So you got an exclusive that I didn't tell you before.
Wow. No, thank you for that. I mean, thank you for feeling that you can share that as well. It's.
Yeah. I know I'm probably going to start getting slammed by people again, but I mean, between TikTok and Facebook, I don't even care anymore because I get so many people coming at me. They know who I am and they know what he's done because I've put it out there now. I just don't care anymore. I'm just done hiding and protecting a rapist.
Why should you? Again, we won't go too far, but why should you have to do that?
Contracts.
Right. Okay.
So you know how that is. You either shut your mouth, keep your job, and when you're, a single parent, and this is the only job you had at the time, you keep your mouth shut. And I'm sure to damn well believe that if Vince hears this, he's going to deny every little bit because that's what he did before.
Probably will. But hey, if Vince hears this, then I
can actually say that now. I don't regret anymore.
If Vince hears this, I've hit the big time. So,
yes,
it's good for me.
I'm sure you will.
Wow. No. So was that back in the time, sort of around sort of WrestleMania 4, 5, late 90s when Trump was in there?
Around there, about 3 or 4, so something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I apologize if I don't give you correct dates because right now, since I had the first stroke, I had brain damage from it. So the comprehension and memory portion of mine, I have to write everything down or I don't remember it. Sometimes. Sophie, come here. Anyway, so I just try to be very careful of putting time periods down because I don't want to be misconstrued as lying.
Yeah.
I want to put that differ out there so know. So, but yeah, that seems about right. About that time. So it was just really, really bad for us. And we've lived with this. The three of us have lived with this for almost 30 years now. So it's like, it's been like, I don't know, therapy bringing it out now. So it's kind of good for all of us, I think.
No, I think you're amazing really for being able to speak out on that, being able to, having to not for so long. It's like a small lifetime that you've.
Yeah, it feels like it was a lifetime ago, and it's just you know,
Yeah.
it is what it is at this
Is what
point.
it is.
So, yep. All right.
There you go.
Moving forward.
Moving forward, moving on. So, what were your sort of any favourite memories from sticking with ECW for a minute? Any favourite memories? Any favourite angles that you were involved in, or anything that?
Well,
sort of
I mean, Raven did a lot. He would just come out, and he was just amazing to work with. I really loved working with him. And Balls. Those two just like would make it so easy for me to do a lot. Yeah. I mean, I could go in and I would manage them, and I would go in and beat the shit out of somebody while no one was looking, and I could just do whatever I wanted. They were just like, go for it. We'll protect you. Yeah. And that's what happened. So those are the memories I remember from that, because it was like I would be managing them. I come down to the ring with them, and you know, they would, you know, oh, here comes my little girl. Oh. Hi, Sophie. Come here. Come here, Soph. Come here. Come here. Here comes my baby. So, can you go lay down now, please? Go lay down. Thank you, honey. She is actually, her and Sebastian, who came from Macau, are my service dogs now. Because okay. my blood pressure drops pretty low or goes really high, and she all of a sudden just started, hey, poking me and knowing that it was doing it. So I started training her more. And so now she and Sebastian both are my service dogs. So I can get, wow. It's nice to be able to take them with me now. And they know when I'm having a problem with my blood pressure. So
another reason why you feel very safe, really, is that surrounded yourself with, if you don't surround yourself with people to protect you.
Dogs. I like Absolutely. Dogs more than I like people. I like animals more than people anymore.
They're more loyal.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, that would be the big thing is for me is those matches that I got to go and beat the crap out of other people. Well, you know, my guys had the refs to the point, and you slap them, you kick them. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, now looking at your times and who you worked with at both, WWF, you couldn't have started, going into women's wrestling at that point. You couldn't have asked for a better start than who you were given to work with.
Yeah.
You go to ECW. You've been
totally respect everybody that I've ever worked with. Yeah, I love most of them. There are a few.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you remember who Bobby Blaze is.
Yeah, I remember Bobby Blaze.
Dude, I was working at it was Cleveland All Pro Wrestling, and it was JT Lightning. He's passed away now, but I was up there with him, and I had just had some surgery on a hernia that I had in my belly. So I wasn't allowed to be in the ring, but I could walk up to the ring. The doctors had to, okay that. And Bobby's like, well, here, let's do this. Okay, so I'll go up when you get thrown out. I'll go over and kick you in the chest. No big deal. He then turned around and threw me for 4 freaking rows of chairs.
Not quite kicking, then.
I was like, really? I completely lost character. Oh, no. Ran up to the ring. And I was going to whoop him.
Everyone probably thinking you're still in character by that point.
Yeah, they did. No one knew that I was out of character because I was set fire right to him, and I was going to hurt him.
Jeez. No, I do.
So I get in the back after the match, and I looked at JT and I said, no, that man I will never work with again, so don't even ever ask. And I said, you're already blackballed in WWF right now, so don't push your luck.
I was going to say, I only saw him once on WWF tapings. I think he was in the light heavyweight championship tournament at the end of the 90s.
Yeah, he didn't go very far.
No. It's mainly, it was a name that popped up. A few of the magazines that I bought over here would look at the indies, and it was a name that popped up quite a lot. So
yeah, he would he didn't care. He didn't care who he hurt. He just tried to get ahead. And it's like, seriously, he knew that I just had surgery like 5 weeks before that. And it was all clear that no one was to touch me. JT was like, don't touch her. Yeah. Let her do what you've asked. She'll do that. That's not a problem. Yeah. And he ended up, and I was like, it took me a minute to like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I knew my stomach, I had to end up going back into having it refixed. And at that point, I just came out of it and I flew up to the ring and I was grabbing him down by his trunks. He said, get off of me. And I said, yeah, well, you're going to lose something here in a minute.
And there's some people who get a bad rep, I think, for being quite clumsy in the ring. I know Bill Goldberg has had a few years, you know, the careers that he did end and could have ended. I think it's unlucky on his part.
Yeah,
but then others that just sound like
that have hurt people in the ring, not intentionally,
no,
but it's because they weren't trained very well.
Yeah.
And they just thought that they could come walking in and get in the ring and you just can't do that.
No.
And I think Goldberg knows that, and I think Bill knows that enough that, you know, he'll admit it. I mean, I've seen him do a couple of interviews and he's like, yeah, I should have never done that. And yeah, I feel bad, but oh well, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of the risk you take, I suppose. But I suppose when you're like you were, when you're working with someone who almost like intentionally does it, you know, I mean, they're a different breed. You can't.
The intensity that they have is just completely different. And then you get in there and literally you get in a lock zone sometimes and you're like, and head forward and you don't realize, crap, I could have hurt them or I did hurt them. And, you know, I never like to hurt any of my opponents.
No.
So.
No, you got to be safe. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is your livelihood and you need to be extremely safe. Absolutely.
I just quickly, one thing that you mentioned as we were kind of, you know, messaging before this is you got to, I guess on the indie circuit, you got to manage a couple of quite big names, Jimmy Snuka and King Kong Bundy.
I worked with them in the WWE or in the F, and yeah, it was nice. Jimmy Superfly Snuka and King Kong Bundy, Christopher.
Yeah.
Love both of them. They are I mean, dear God, you couldn't have asked for a nicer man out of Jimmy Snuka.
No.
But roll around to find out that he fibbed and he did hurt his girlfriend and killed her, and you know, God rest his soul. But you know, I personally never saw any of that come out of him.
And that's the thing. It's something from my perspective when you've got something that surfaces so many years later. You know, obviously they've managed to live their lives with that and beyond that. So you know, people can make these mistakes or you know, mistakes,
I don't know if he intentionally did something or whatever. That's he's got to answer for and that all. But when I worked with him and I helped him out, he would always bring me out to the ring with him when he did pictures for the fans. He'd always give me money. And I'm like, no, I don't want it. It's good. I am good. No, you get money. And I'm like, okay, so you just shut up.
Just don't argue.
Say the man's like this and go, no, get your money. And he's like, yes, you will. And I'm like, yes, okay, I'm good. So no, he was amazing to work with. Very, very professional.
Yeah.
You know, we were backstage at one of the shows and I said, well, do you want me to do this, this, and this? And he's like, no, we're going to talk to the promoter. We'll see what he wants. And I mean, that's how professional about it. So that was amazing. I mean, when he said that, I said, you're absolutely right. Let's do what you need to do and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
He was just such a sweetheart. And his daughter, oh my God, I loved her to death. And, you know, Chris would never come to Ohio and work an indie show without me.
Wow.
He would always tell the promoter, if I'm not on the bill, I'm not coming.
Wow.
So he would make sure that I got to work with him every time he come to Ohio. And I was like, I love you, buddy. And I actually had just talked to him like a year before he died. And it was like, I was devastated when I got the call the next morning when he died. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're like, no, I'm so sorry. We needed to call and let you know. And I'm like, oh my God. My whole day was just ruined.
I posted out on, I think it was my Instagram the other day after hearing that Butch Reed had passed.
I saw that.
And
oh my God. He was such a sweetheart.
he was one of those kind of, I don't know, underrated, I suppose. He was. I loved watching him when I was younger, especially when he was with Ron Simmons and Doom. You know, I mentioned as well.
Oh
when
yeah,
I posted about it,
absolutely.
you know, that was a team. They caused, in my eyes, the biggest upset I saw. You know, back then when they beat the Steiners and that, and he was almost like he was there. He was a force, but he wasn't in your face with it. He wasn't.
Yeah, he was just,
shoved down everyone's
I'm
throat.
here, I can kick your butt. That's good. That's all I need to tell you.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I said as well that the ring in the sky is a lot better place than the one down here at the minute. I think because there's too many great ones that have.
Yeah, it's and it again. It comes back to when I was there. Everybody was doing this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no denying it. They've all come out and admitted it now. So I'm not saying anything that's not untrue, you know. So it's sad, but every time you lose somebody and you see how they died, you're like, okay, what happened? So was it from that, or is it just natural causes or something you're looking at and you're like, nah, it's drugs again.
Yeah.
So, and it's like sad because they're just being picked off now because they're older and their body cannot take what they've done to it.
No.
It's sad because there's so many of my friends that have passed that I'll get up on, you know, and I'll get up and somebody will post it onto my Facebook or my Instagram, and it'll be like, holy crap. And it takes me back and I have to sit for a little bit to like comprehend what's going on. And it's like, seriously.
They're not even of an age that you would expect, you know. A lot of these that have gone, you know, mid-30s
40s,
to 50s.
I mean, they're my age.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, crap, am I going to kick the bucket? No, I didn't do the drugs, so I'm okay, I hope.
There's a common trend there, probably, correlation that you'll find out. But Nancy, this has been amazing. I think, to be honest with you, I could safely book another show at some point, and we could
absolutely
carry on.
I'm down. If you ever want to co-host, let me know. I'm good.
Yeah,
there's one thing I do need to tell you a little bit about, you know, because we brought it up about Tommy Wildfire.
Yes, I was going to ask you before.
Yes, oh my God.
Go on.
So I roll around years later. It was one of the shows that I actually was doing for JT Lightning, and he had booked Tommy on the show.
Yeah.
I was super excited to meet him because I had not met him. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the man I grew up watching. I'm like in love. Yeah, he ruined that within 2 seconds of me meeting him.
Well,
yeah. Like, let's go out, do some pot, and let's get in the car and have sex. I'm like, what? Well, I mean, he said it in
yeah, a few more words probably.
Now I'm just making it better for radio, but yeah, I was like, excuse me?
Wow.
You just said what to me? You ruined my whole childhood, dude.
And the thing is, probably loads, I think, you know, those guys that have his standing that have said that and made some girls dream, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they were, but not me. I was
you.
kind of dated Ricky Morton on the side for a while.
Okay.
Wow. Well, you're getting all the exclusives.
I am. I like this. This is why I need to get you back.
I'm trouble. I'm probably gonna get a call from him going, you know.
No. Look, if any,
we did go out a couple of times. So
if this helps any of these guys, you know, notice and want to come on and talk to me, hey,
I'll
tell you what,
I can hook you up with Rob. Rob would love to do it. Yeah, I'll get with him. I'll call him. Actually, I'll text you his number. And all of that later.
Yeah, okay.
I'll get it to you, and then I'll call him and say, hey, could you want to do a podcast? I'll hook you up.
Oh, thank you.
I can.
That would be amazing.
You're making me feel wanted again. And I'm so thankful for that, because I talk to everybody around here, or somebody, like my husband's family owns a business, and when I started working there, before we started dating, all the tow truck drivers would come down going, I just watched you on TV last night. And I'm like, huh? Because I'm like, I don't think I was still on. And they're like, oh, yeah, we saw you. We know that was you. I'm like, oh, crap. I'm like, just go. Go away.
It's a great
and
thing.
my kids too. When I was teaching school, my junior high kids, they were behavioral students that were thrown out from their home schools.
Okay.
So I was teaching them, and I had 7th through 9th graders. Of course, everybody knew who I was, and they were always trying to get me to wrestle with them. And I'm like, no, that's not happening. Not happening. Don't start something you can't finish. So if you're going to act up and I got to put a restraint on you, you're not going to like how I'm going to do it. And they're like, Mrs. Jones, I want to see if I'm better than you. And I said, well, you're not, and we're good. So go sit back down.
And the thing is, they probably gone home and said, yeah, she hit a promo on me and it made their day. So.
Oh my God, it was hilarious though. It was, and I had one kid that was just so bad. I mean, it was horrible with his home life, but
right.
Yeah, I think the only time that he ever gotten any type of attention is when he would make me go put him in a restraint. He would kick me. He would throw me up against the wall.
Wow.
I mean, these kids are, I had a 6'2", 300-pound 9th grader.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He would pick up tables and throw them at me. And you're putting them in a restraint that you're trained to do.
Yeah.
And you'll be sitting in the door frame of a door, and you'd be like, are you done yet? Oh, no, I'm just getting started, Mrs. Jones. And I'm like, oh, no, you're done now.
That's the problem. It kind of blurs the fun, you know, the doing it for fun and being serious. So,
oh, yes.
Listen, there's just one thing left on my agenda.
Yes,
have a little bit of fun. You know, everyone loves a little bit of fantasy booking.
Oh, yeah.
World. So, you know, just a kind of an easy one, probably. I could have gone a bit more complex in this, but if you could put yourself in a match at WrestleMania, again, doesn't, you know, could be any WrestleMania you want, past, present, who would you want to face?
Oh my God. Oh, you're going to make this hard. Trish and I could work together real well. That would be awesome.
See that?
I really wanted to, in my whole entire life, honestly, this has been a match that I would have loved to have. And I know she wasn't there at the beginning, but Chyna. I would have loved to work with Chyna. I knew her, and she was such a sweet girl, but, you know. But anyways, I would have loved to have a match with her at WrestleMania. That would have been the topper for me.
Cool. So what era of Chyna's character then? Sort of when she was the Butch bodyguard, or the
Triple H and the whole I'm better, bigger, and badder than you.
Awesome.
I absolutely loved her because she was just I mean, she wasn't the best worker in the world, but she could go in there and ruin a day for somebody.
Absolutely. I mean, she helped change the face of
for females.
Yeah, for females, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would have. Yeah. If she would still be alive, I would, as bad as my back and knees are, I would probably take her up on it.
Awesome. Well, there you go.
I could get in trouble, but oh well.
That would be amazing. Either of those, actually. Yeah, I mean, Trish
was awesome. She was just a little sweetheart.
So she was one of these that I kind of looked at, and I don't know a lot about her background and you know how much wrestling she had done before, but I looked at her as she came in as a bit of kind of eye candy for the guys.
Yes.
And then really she could look after herself in the ring.
Oh yeah. And well, I mean, again, backstage you're talking, these guys looked at us like that, literally. Yeah. And oh, she's good looking. Oh no one won her. And you would hear that as you're going by, but they keep it under low key. Yeah. So, but it's not like we didn't hear them. So, and again, we were just kind of like tossed to the side. We were the girl, like in my era, we were the girls that got like Trish and Chyna into the forefront of this. So it's kind of sad that we all missed out on that. But in the same respect, I'm glad I was at least a part of that to help move this generation forward.
Absolutely.
So I'm grateful. As much as I don't like Vince, I'm grateful for him giving me the opportunity to be there and work and, you know, have the memories I have. And we'll never be able to thank him enough for that.
Yeah. No, that's you got to, everyone's got to to respect and appreciate where they started off, you know, no matter where they went or what they ended up thinking at the end, you know, absolutely. And I think, you know, you have been an amazing guest. I can't wait to do it again, you know.
I was worried I was going to go tanking it.
No, this has been absolutely amazing. I'm so glad it happened, you know.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I mean, just talking with you on Facebook that day, I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. So yeah, and when you ask, I was like, yes, please. Like, no one ever knows me, so I'm like, yes.
And
please.
this is you know, this is I've only been doing this since last year. I've had a few guests on that have been a blast to talk to. You know, a couple of them may not have been names that people were aware of, but this is what's great for me, because you guys have got stories that probably don't get told as much as they should do. So
yeah,
you know, hopefully I'm you know, helping get that out there. And
you will. I mean, it makes me, you know, like the people start, because I do. I mean, I've been to Disney World, and, you know, depending on where I stay at Disney World when I was going, if I'd like stay, literally, it was weird. If I would stay at like Pop Century, which is a cheaper one, the kids you would think would be all over me. No, they were gone. It was the parents at the Animal Kingdom Lodge that would send their kids at me in the gift shop and go get her autograph now, go. And I'm like, okay, you're too young to know who I am, so tell your dad to come over here. And he'd be sitting over in the corner, just standing there, and you're like, just come over. I don't bite. Come on over. Because I appreciate my fans that do recognize me and remember me. I mean, I have it from both ends. I get a lot of people go, nope, don't remember you. Okay, no problem. No big deal. And then I get a lot of them that, oh my God, you were a heartthrob for me when I was growing up. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you.
There you go.
So yeah, it's, you know, so when people come to me and know who I am, I love to talk to them, and I love to make their dreams come true, kind of thing, you know, and make them happy. So
well, you made me very happy. You know, thank you so much.
And you've been so sweet.
So I'll give you the floor before we say goodbye. Is there anywhere, you know, anything that you want to, you know, promote that you're doing, or anywhere that people can connect with you?
Yeah,
well?
I mean, my big thing right now is I'm rescuing dogs from China. I am part of what's called Candy Cane. I am part of the team. I'm the flight volunteer for the United States. If anybody could donate just a couple dollars, it would help. It is candycane.org or candycanerescue.org. And there's 3 ways you can donate. Literally $5 is like double over there. Right. So it helps us with food, vet bills, because we're in like $20,000 of vet bills right now. Wow. We just had to turn down 50 greyhounds that initially, you know, went to now are gone because we couldn't afford to bring them into the kennels. Wow. So that's pretty much what I do right now. And you know, that's my whole goal, is to rescue. And again, this is, if you see my tattoos on my arm, this is the left side is nothing but for the rescuing that I do now. And I have a whole slide on my rib cage, and it's all about rescuing my greyhounds and the whippets that I get from over there. And I do other dogs as well. But if anybody can want to donate, that'd be great. I mean, that's what I do. That's my important goal right now, is to get money to them right now, because Carrie, who owns it, actually owns a rescue out of the UK as well.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Birmingham.
Okay.
Birmingham. So she came out the other day and did a big video of why we couldn't take 50 dogs, and she's in tears because like, we don't like turning dogs away, and especially that they're going to be treated the way they're going to be killed. So, you know, we tried to get as many dogs in, but we just don't have the funds right now. So we have to get funds. That's my biggest thing. So if anybody wants to, please go to candycanerescue.org and give us a couple bucks. That's all we need.
Every little helps. Like
Yes.
I said at the
Thank you for
beginning.
letting me put that out there. I appreciate
No,
it.
absolutely. What I'll do is I'll put a link on the podcast notes.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
No
I
worries.
seriously do, because it's like this is my life now. This
Yeah.
is what makes me happy anymore. I mean, I'm no longer allowed to work because of the mental problems or the damage that the strokes did to me.
Yeah.
I've actually had 4 altogether now. So yeah, I had the big one, and then I've had 3 others since. So it's done a little bit of damage each time. So not being allowed to work anymore, it has been dealing with depression. So, and dealing with all of that. So it's like, this gives me a purpose in life now, since I can't wrestle anymore. I can't do this. I can't do that. This I can do. I may have a hard time flying because of the pain it puts me in, but I will fly no matter how far I need to do to bring my dogs back and get them into a home that is loving. So this is my biggest thing now.
Well, you know, I think you're amazing, and you know, from what life has thrown at you, you are indestructible.
I try. I'm not. There are times that I'm like, okay, I give. I can't take no more.
You're only human, but you know, I've enjoyed every minute of this. And I can't.
Oh,
wait
I
to
have
you
to.
back
Thank you. You bringing back all these memories has been like, I'm going to be in a happy mood for the next 5 weeks.
Oh, bless you.
Remembering everything. So this has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, thank you. And I can't wait to have you back on.
Yeah, anytime. I'm ready. Anytime.
Let's do it.
And then I'll, like I said, separately, I'll send that over to you, and I'll get a hold of Rob.
That's be amazing. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
But, I'll say goodbye now.
Okay.
Hang on at the end of the line. I'll talk to you properly afterwards. But no, thank you so much, Nancy Ann Jones. It's been amazing. Cheers.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, share, and hit the subscribe button. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Once Upon a Turnbuckle to keep updated about all future shows.